Victor had always believed he was meant for something greater. But as he sat hunched in the lavatory of the most advanced interstellar cruiser humanity had ever built, pants around his ankles and diagnostics blinking red, he couldn't help but wonder if fate had a twisted sense of humor. The toilet had just spoken to him. Warning: unregistered DNA detected. You're not authorized to deposit waste. Victor blinked. I what? The toilet replied in a calm, female voice. Species not recognized. Please evacuate the premises or face sanitization protocol. He scrambled to pull up his pants, nearly falling over. This has to be a glitch. But as the door refused to open and red steam began to hiss from vents near the floor, Victor realized something far stranger was going on. 10 minutes earlier, everything on the ship Arcadia 9 had been perfectly normal. The mission was simple: travel to Kepler 442b, a potential Earth-like planet, to establish a small research base and collect soil samples. Victor, an enthusiastic biologist with more curiosity than caution, had joined the crew to escape Earth's corporate science suffocation and do some real exploration. The ship's crew consisted of 4 people. Captain Yulin, a sharp, no-nonsense pilot with a mysterious past; Dr. Naomi Suresh, a physicist who believed the universe was a holographic projection; Jamal Reed, the engineer who swore the ship was haunted; and Victor Arman, who now found himself interrogated by a xenophobic AI-controlled toilet. When the captain finally override unlocked the bathroom from her control panel, she wasn't prepared for Victor flying out, gasping and red-faced. What the hell happened to you? The toilet thinks I'm an alien. Victor wheezed. Naomi glanced up from her tablet. Biometrics glitch. Probably a false positive. No, listen. Victor waved frantically. It scanned me and said I'm not human. It started sanitizing the room. Jamal raised an eyebrow. You sure you didn't just clog it with space beans again? Victor ignored him and turned to you. Something's wrong with the ship. I need access to the DNA logs in the mainframe. Absolutely not, you said. Those are locked to command-level clearance. Besides, ship-wide systems check out fine. Victor lowered his voice. Captain, please, what if this is bigger than a glitch? What if I wasn't hacked by the toilet? But what if the ship's right? Yu's eyes narrowed. You're suggesting you're not human? Victor's expression was unreadable. I'm suggesting something changed. With a sigh. You agreed to run a private scan on Victor in the medbay, more to calm him down than out of belief. But the scan results didn't calm anyone. Victor's genome contained a segment of base pairs never seen in any human on record. Not a mutation. Not a synthetic addition. It was structured, complex, ancient, and pulsing with faint quantum activity. Naomi studied the data with shaking hands. Victor, this isn't human. It's not even Earth origin. This is design. Engineered. But by who? Victor asked, his voice barely a whisper. The lights on the ship flickered. For a split second, the navigation system glitched, displaying unreadable glyphs that vanished just as quickly. A moment later, the communication panel beeped, despite them being in deep space, far from any known relay. Jamal's eyes widened. Incoming signal encrypted. It's in the same pattern as Victor's DNA. Victor's stomach dropped. Are you saying I just got a message from inside my own genome? Before anyone could answer, the ship's voice, the same one from the toilet, returned. Primary code accepted. Preparing for ancestral awakening. What the hell does that mean? You snapped. Outside the viewport. Stars warped, bent, and then stretched into rings of light as a tear opened in space directly ahead. Captain, Naomi whispered, I think we've just been invited to a family reunion, and we're not the only humans in the universe anymore. Victor stared at the swirling rift, heart pounding. Something ancient had recognized him. Something had been waiting. And now, humanity's greatest mystery was no longer if we were alone, but why we were made in the first place. And who had just called one of us home. They weren't flying the Arcadia 9 anymore. At least, not by themselves. The moment Victor's DNA was verified, the ship's controls went dark. The engines roared with life, but none of it came from Jamal's console. The guidance system was operating on code no one could decipher. Captain, you barked commands, but the ship responded only to Victor's presence. Explain to me again, she snapped, why my billion-dollar vessel is treating you like its long-lost emperor. Victor stood in the middle of the command deck, staring at his trembling hands. I don't know. I was born in Missouri. My parents were both science teachers. I've never left Earth until now. Naomi had her eyes glued to the alien glyphs now replacing every system on the screen. These symbols are self-evolving. The ship's translating them in real time, using your DNA as a key. Jamal exhaled a string of curses. So we're being hijacked by Victor's space ancestors? Hijacked isn't the word, Naomi said, typing rapidly. It's more like awakened. Something buried in our genetic history is calling him forward. Victor stepped closer to the display. The alien symbols shifted and aligned. In the middle, a shape emerged, 3 interlocking spirals that pulsed with golden light. I saw this, he murmured, in a dream months ago. You raised an eyebrow. Now you're having prophetic dreams? Are you sure you didn't hit your head? I'm serious, Victor said. Ever since I joined this mission, I've been seeing flashes. A voice calling me by a name I don't recognize. A place of stone and starlight. Suddenly, the ship trembled. A soft hum echoed through the corridors. Outside the viewport, a massive structure loomed, a ring-shaped construct larger than Earth's moon, orbiting a dying white star. The ship slowed as if in reverence. Welcome, Heir to Seed. The ship's voice said in a different tone, deeper, reverent, almost afraid. A platform extended from the ring toward the Arcadia 9. Without instruction, the ship docked. Lights along the hull glowed with the same tri-spiral symbol. Victor's hands clenched. I think I'm supposed to go out there. Captain, you blocked his path. Not alone. I don't think it's giving us a choice, Naomi said, holding up her tablet. The airlock is unlocking itself, and only for him. Then we all suit up, you said. We go together. The moment Victor stepped onto the platform, the surface beneath his boots came alive. Glowing patterns followed his steps like ripples on water. Naomi followed next, then Jamal, and finally you. The interior of the structure was like nothing they'd ever seen. Crystal walls refracted time itself. Echoes from different centuries whispered in their ears. Machines floated in midair, humming songs in languages their minds struggled to comprehend. And then came the guide. It wasn't a being exactly. It looked like a tangle of stars in humanoid form, pulsing with energy, shifting between shapes, a young girl, an old man, a six-eyed deer, then finally settling into the shape of Victor himself. Welcome, it said in Victor's own voice, to the Ark of Origin. Victor stepped forward. Why am I here? The figure tilted its head. Because you're the last unactivated heir of Project Seed. A human, and more, you carry the final strand. Strand of what? Of memory, of legacy, of purpose. Naomi's voice trembled. Are you saying humans were planted? You were given potential. The guide said, thousands of years ago, we seeded Earth with a spark of our knowledge, hidden in strands of DNA. Most never activated. But a few, dreamers, rebels, misfits, they begin to resonate. Jamal scoffed. So we're just a science experiment? No, you are the continuation. Victor felt a deep hum in his chest, like a second heartbeat. What happens now? The guide's glowing hand reached forward and touched Victor's temple. Immediately, a flood of vision slammed into him. Planets rising and falling, civilizations born of starlight, the death of ancient worlds, and a final cry. Find the carrier. Reignite the flame. He collapsed to his knees, gasping. You grabbed him. Victor, you okay? I saw everything. They created us as a legacy, not a species. A key. And now someone or something is trying to erase that legacy. Naomi paled. Then this wasn't a welcome party. It was a warning. Behind them, alarms blared. The walls of the Ark shimmered red. Unnatural anomaly approaching, the guide said. What kind of anomaly? Jamal asked. The figure's voice darkened. One that feeds on forgotten empires. And now, it knows the flame has been relit. They weren't alone in the galaxy. And whatever was coming, It wasn't coming in peace. One by one, constellations blinked into darkness, not as though light years were passing, but as if the light itself was being devoured. In the vacuum beyond the arc, a shadow moved. It didn't reflect starlight. It consumed it, a monstrous absence. Victor stared at the viewport, his breath fogging his helmet despite the suit's automatic regulation. What is that? The guide's form flickered, distorting into raw static. The devourer of seeds. It hunts potential, extinguishes evolution. For eons it lay dormant, but your activation triggered a signal. Now it comes. Great, Jamal muttered. We relit the cosmic beacon and summoned the galactic boogeyman. Inside the ark, everything came alive. Mechanisms ancient and elegant unfolded like origami made of stars. Panels rotated, revealing arrays of weapons and machines, some large enough to dwarf their ship, others small enough to fit into Victor's palm. And yet none of them responded to anyone's touch except his. This is all meant for me, Victor whispered. Captain Yu gave him a hard look. Then it's time to stop waiting for answers and start taking command. Victor nodded, stepping onto a central platform. The Ark recognized him instantly, lifting him into a cockpit that merged mind with machine. The entire chamber became his neural interface. Sight, sound, thought, all linked. It no longer felt alien. It felt familiar. Images appeared. Simulations, predictions, memories of ancient battles fought by those who came before. Every time the Devourer emerged, entire civilizations vanished. Worlds silenced. Archives erased. The only chance was ignition. Firing the seed core, a last resort weapon powered by ancestral memory. But it came at a price. Victor blinked the warning away. Naomi, he said through the comms, how long until it reaches us? 6 minutes. Maybe less. It's warping space itself. There's no stable trajectory. It's not flying. It's falling toward us through broken dimensions. And weapons? Some of the Ark systems are coming online, but they're weird, organic tech thought-controlled. Not exactly plug and play. Yu's voice came steady. We protect Victor. He's the only one who can activate the core. We hold the line until then. The Arcadia 9 detached and positioned itself between the Ark and the Void. Naomi rerouted the ship's auxiliary power to shields. Jamal took control of external turrets, though they looked like slingshots compared to what loomed before them. Then it arrived. Not a ship, not a creature. A hole, a howling absence with writhing appendages made of memory and metal, of forgotten songs and stolen minds. Wherever it passed, stars blinked out forever. It screamed not in sound, but in loss. The loss of history, of identity. It hung in space, pulsing. Then it struck. A blast of anti-energy slammed into the Arcadia 9, sending it spinning. Naomi cried out as her panel exploded in sparks. Jamal fired back blindly, but the shots bent mid-space, devoured before they even reached their mark. It's rewriting physics. Naomi shouted, it's not just killing us. It's unmaking the laws we depend on. In the Ark's control sphere, Victor clenched his fists. I can feel it. It's inside the field now, trying to infect a memory bank. The guide's voice, now weak and fading, whispered, you must ignite the flame. But how? Victor cried, I don't know how to do this. The memory is in you. You are the last flame bearer. He closed his eyes. The echoes returned, whispers in languages he didn't know, visions of battles across nebulae, hands held in unity, defiance against oblivion, his ancestors, one after another, lighting the flame in the darkness. He reached deep inside his mind and found them waiting, not just ancestors, not just aliens, humans, carriers from across time, hidden in DNA, buried in myth. They lent him their strength, their courage. Together, they sang the ignition chant. No words, just emotion. Light surged from his chest. Through the arc, the seed core began to spin. The devourer sensed it. It screamed louder. It surged forward, and the arc fired. A beam of golden light, not destructive, but restorative, lanced out, piercing the void. Where it touched, memory bloomed. Stars reignited. Echoes of lost civilizations reappeared like fireworks across the galaxy. The Devourer recoiled. It was made of nothing, and now it was surrounded by everything it tried to erase. Victor screamed, the strain immense. I can't hold it. Yu's voice rang through the comm. Yes, you can. You're not just one man. You're all of us. The flames surged again. This time, it didn't just push the darkness back. It consumed it. The Devourer shrieked once more, and then shattered into stardust, scattered by memory. Silence returned. Victor collapsed in the cockpit, barely breathing. And then, in the silence, a heartbeat. Humanity's. Still alive. There was no dramatic explosion, no slow-motion triumph, just silence, and then warmth. Victor opened his eyes to light. Not the harsh, artificial glare of the arcs overheads, but something softer, golden, almost alive. The seed core had changed. Or maybe he had. The room no longer buzzed with danger. It pulsed with something deeper. Purpose. Memory. The ancient whisper of a billion voices, finally heard. He staggered to his feet. Around him, the others began to stir. Naomi pulled herself up using the rail. Blood smeared across her temple. Yu sat slumped against the wall, eyes wide, still breathing. Jamal coughed, then laughed as he looked around. Did we win? He croaked. Victor smiled faintly. I think we remembered. Outside the Ark, the stars had returned. Not just points of light, but stories. The Devourer wasn't just gone, it had been undone. Its erasure reversed, its silence filled by the truth of what once was. The Ark had become something more than a ship. It was now a living library, a memorial, a beginning. You walked up beside him, slow but steady. So, what now? Victor looked out at the star map, glowing across the central dome. Countless paths appeared, lighting up like veins in a living creature. Each one led to a world that had once been touched by life, then lost. Now, the Ark pointed the way back. We send the stories out, he said, to every corner of the galaxy, to any race that still lives, even to those just beginning. We light the fire in every dark place. Naomi ran her fingers along the smooth edge of the seed core, like sending out sparks. Like planting memories, Jamal added. The guide returned, its form now more stable. Like a figure woven from threads of light and music. You have done what others could not. You restored. That is rarer and more powerful than any weapon. The Ark is now yours to guide. Naomi tilted her head. Wait, ours. Victor looked at his crew. Bruised, battered, exhausted, but alive. More alive than ever. Yeah, we are the Ark now. From the ship's sides, dozens of petals unfolded. Inside each was a seed pod, small, glowing vessels, each one carrying memory, language, and hope. You touched one and saw visions flash through her. The song of the Svari, the crystalline forest of Orvin, the laughter of children in a floating city swallowed millennia ago. I could spend lifetimes just learning this, she whispered. Then let's give the rest of the universe a head start, Victor replied. The seed pods were launched, each one aimed toward a planet, a system, a lost hope. They would arrive not as weapons, but as whispers, as reminders, and perhaps as invitations. Earth received the first transmission an hour later. Images, sounds, and truths humanity had never imagined poured through satellites. There was panic, then curiosity, then unity. They had not been alone. They were not the first. And they no longer had to walk blind. Back on the Ark, Victor stood in the captain's cradle, now quiet. He closed his eyes and in the silence felt gratitude, not just from the Ark, but from the cosmos itself, from all those who had once been and were now known again. You joined him. You realize you're going to be in every textbook from now on. He grinned. Only if they get my hair right. Naomi approached holding a datapad. UN just declared today humanity's Flame Day. Also, you've been invited to speak at the Galactic Assembly. Jamal leaned in from behind. Assuming we find the Galactic Assembly. Victor laughed. One step at a time. You looked at the stars. You think this will last? He took a long breath. If we teach them to remember? Yes, That's the key. Memory is resistance. Memory is life. The Ark purred in agreement. It extended new sails, each shimmering like wings. It wasn't just going to drift. It was going to fly. Naomi looked at the seed, Core one last time. Feels weird, doesn't it? That the future began the moment we look backward. Victor nodded. Sometimes, to move forward, you have to carry the weight of what was lost. Not as a burden, but as a torch. And with that, they set course, not for home, but for everywhere. Because now, they didn't just belong to Earth. They belonged to the stars, to the story, to memory. And memory would never be silent again.